The Dershow.
Larry David didn't like the fact that Bill Maher, who's really a funny comedian, really funny, he gets the clap sometimes too, but he also gets really good belly laughs. Larry David didn't like the fact that Bill Maher had dinner with Donald Trump, just like he didn't like the fact that I went in front of the United States Senate and defended the constitutional rights of the President of the United States and of the presidency. And in my case, what Larry David did is he screamed at me, saw me in Chilmark on Martha's Vineyard, and he called me disgusting and disgraceful and said he would never talk to me because I defended the President of the United States. Well, what he did to Bill Maher is he wrote a column. And in the column, he compares, in a very unfunny way, but he compares having dinner, Bill Maher having dinner with Donald Trump, with Larry David having dinner with Adolf Hitler. Now, the Times generally has a policy of not comparing anybody to Hitler. And, talk about, being unique in history. I mean, nobody is totally unique, but Hitler comes as close as you can to being uniquely evil in history. He, after all, he brought millions of Jews from all over the world into death camps in Auschwitz and other places in order to gas them to death, murder their babies, murder 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds in their mother's arms, smash the heads of babies. Nobody in history has ever done quite what Adolf Hitler did to the Jewish people. Larry David's Jewish, but he's a self-hating Jew. And so he compares Hitler with Donald Trump. Now, when you compare Hitler to Donald Trump, you know what you're doing? You're denying the Holocaust. What do you mean you're denying the Holocaust? Larry David didn't deny the Holocaust. Yes, he did. When you make a comparison between Hitler, who had death camps and who lined people up in front of graves and killed them in cold blood, who murdered 6 million, maybe more, only 6 million Jews, probably millions more of people, Polish people, other people, Romani people, etc. When you compare Hitler to Donald Trump, what you're saying is, well, Donald Trump must have a hidden death camp somewhere. There must be gas chambers because otherwise there's no comparison. Either what you're saying is Donald Trump has gas chambers or Hitler didn't have gas chambers, because you can't compare the two of them by leaving out gas chambers. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the theater? There are certain things that are pretty essential. Hitler without gas chambers isn't Hitler. Hitler without Einsatzgruppen it's not Hitler. So if you're talking about Hitler, you're talking about gas chambers. If you're talking about Trump, what are you talking about? You're talking about deporting some people who have no status in the United States and who can go to the Supreme Court and get relief. When's the last time one of Hitler's victims was able to go to the German courts and get relief? So there's no comparison. And if you think there is a comparison, the only way you can think there's a comparison is if you really think, the crimes of Hitler are exaggerated. They're just like the alleged crimes of Donald Trump. And there are some people who say that. There are Holocaust deniers out there. There are people who've been sued. There have been others. But Larry David, to become a Holocaust denier, to become somebody who minimizes the Holocaust by comparing, and now you might say, I'm taking it too seriously. It's a joke. It's a joke. There are certain subjects you don't joke about. You don't joke about comparing the elected president of the United States to Adolf Hitler. You just don't joke about that. It's not funny. It's historically inaccurate, and it will confuse a lot of people, because people, when they read an op-ed in the New York Times, a lot of people without a sense of humor will say, "Oh, yeah, there's this comparison. I mean, look at what Trump's doing to people. He's actually he's making them go to El Salvador if they're not citizens of the United States, where they're not sent to the maximum security prison, they're sent to a minimum security prison, like the guy from Maryland. But it just gets people thinking that what Hitler did isn't that bad, because what Trump is doing is not that bad. And anybody who thinks that Trump is doing things that endanger democracy, just dead wrong. He's challenging the power of the courts. Yes, he's expanding the power of the executive, much the way Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln and Franklin Delano Roosevelt did. Many of you don't like him, but the majority of Americans voted for him, or a plurality of Americans voted for him. He's not going to run for a third term. Hitler didn't run for anything after his first term. He was just the Der Fuhrer, the dictator. Trump's not going to do that. He's joking about it. And if he didn't joke about it, and if he wanted to do it, he'd be slapped down by the Supreme Court, by the Constitution, and ultimately by the voters. The voters would not vote for a third term for somebody who ran in violation of an amendment to the Constitution. So these analogies are they're just so absurd, just so absurd that I don't know what got into Larry David's mind. I mean, talk about people who are afflicted with a Trump derangement syndrome, and boy, number one on that list is Larry David. I mean, if Trump were to develop a cure for cancer, Larry David would say it was based on plagiarism, or based on unethical use of materials and of scientific research. I mean, there's nothing that Trump could do which is right, and there's nothing that Bill Maher can do, or Alan Dershowitz can do, that in any way defends and humanizes Trump. That's acceptable. So it's that's where we're going. We're going into a society in which people just see everything as black and white, everything as blue and red. In this case, everything as either or. We can't appreciate that, maybe there is something that the Republicans are doing that's right, and maybe there's something the Democrats that are doing that's wrong. Well, we know there's many things the Democrats that are doing are wrong, but we don't know about the Republicans. So I worry about us. We're not in a constitutional crisis. We're in a constitutional conflict. The constitutional conflict has a way of being resolved under the Constitution.